Yeah, no, and you bring up a good point because, time is a commodity that nobody has enough of nowadays. And spreading yourself too thin, um, not only, you have a big risk there in not seeing some type of result from what you're trying to do, right? It's like you mentioned the idea of branding, like this is a reflection of the Capitals brand and it's another platform where people engage. And I'm looking at the page here right now, like there's people like this. Obviously, there's 91 people that have left notes on this photo of Carl Olsner giving the cupcakes out in the media room, right? Um,
Yeah.
but ultimately, what is your guys' approach when you look at these new platforms on what you're trying to do with them? Are you just using them from a branding, messaging perspective to find another way to reach the fans? Or are you trying to drive traffic to a specific platform like the website or the Facebook page, or is it all just kind of one big thing that works together and spins around in circles, and we'll see what happens in the end from a monetizing perspective over the next 5 years?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sometimes you look at that and you're wondering, okay, like how, like what is the big plan behind all of it? But we do, we look at it and we say, okay, not necessarily with Tumblr, but we do look at different each platform and say, okay, how is it going to extend our brand? Um, are we going to be able to engage with fans, and ultimately, will this make us money? And because one thing that you don't want to do, whether it's in sports or any other business, is sit there and spend a lot of time and not see any return. I
For
can I
sure.
can sit there and post to my Facebook page or my Twitter account all day long, but I won't necessarily see any return. Where I'm responsible for my budget here, and I'm responsible for getting the word out about the Caps. So when we look at Facebook or any social network for that matter, we're looking at, okay, how can we leverage that? How can we leverage the fans that have liked us um, into one of our corporate sponsorships without it being just a simple pass on or advertisement, but actually being a benefit to the fan.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the one thing that we always want to be cognizant of is, okay, is this just an ad or is it an actual benefit to our fans? Because if it's just an ad, we can put a tile ad on our site, or
Mm-hmm.
a 300 by 250 ad on our site. But if it's a benefit and we want our fans to engage with us and we want to engage with them, then we need to give them a benefit. And so from that standpoint, it is definitely, we look at social networks as a branding opportunity, as a way to further engage our fans. But we do want to make money off of it. So it's that fine line where you say, okay, let's do some contesting based around joint prizes, or let's find some way of getting some stuff out there that's a benefit to our fan and a benefit to our corporate sponsor from the association with our team. So there's all these ways of looking at it and kind of meshing it together. So hopefully it's not spinning too fast and too too hard so that our heads spin, but that we're actually creating win-win situations all the way around.
For sure. Well, and I think it is a major challenge, and specifically in the sports industry, is to not look at these tools as purely another source of revenue, but at the same time, sports is still a business, right? If it's not generating revenue, it's tough to put a value on the engagement of the fan, right? Or
Exactly.
at least it's tough to sell that and come budget time, right? Because I know, like even in the ticket sales world, for example, they're directly measured on the amount of leads that they bring in, the amount of leads that get closed, and whether or not the seats are filled, and if they're upselling corporate sponsorship or group ticket packages and that type of thing. So there's no doubt that the monetizing of the social side of things is probably one of your biggest challenges going forward. I would imagine. You mentioned that the social media stuff is definitely a bigger part of your role now.
Yeah. A few years ago, we started moving into the social space, and just it kind of fell into my lap. I really liked it. I seem to have I don't know, for whatever reason, I just end up liking the social aspect of it. And so, I've worked at trying to maintain it and trying to keep it and as part of my position here. And we certainly have grown it as a way to communicate with our fans. We use some great tools, and it is, it can be expensive. People say, oh, but Facebook is free. Oh, but Twitter is free. Yes, but it costs you time to build contests into Facebook or into Twitter, and it costs you time to monitor stuff and make sure, see what your fans are actually saying about you. And a lot of times that's all we have is that time. We don't have billable dollars, and so like you said, that's a commodity, that we have to use. But like one of the tools that we do use to try to help us along is something called Involver, and on the back end we have a developer here in house who does a lot of development on the site, with coding, but he also does a lot of development on Facebook. And Involver is his primary tool in the language that they use, and it's one where we can post to Facebook, Twitter, and Google Plus all at the same time.
Yeah.
So that it's not necessarily an automation because we're the ones writing and posting, but it's helping us get our word out quickly and across different platforms simultaneously. Where before we'd be flipping back and forth between Twitter and or some kind of Twitter client and Facebook, or using a tool like TweetDeck or something that wasn't reaching all of our audience, but just part of it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and with the changes that are coming up with Facebook here too, I know that's again it harps on the time thing, right? It's like there's a whole bunch of stuff to learn when it comes to the new layouts and the way that you can use the gated pages to be able to get people to take some type of action. It's a full-time job in itself almost just to manage Facebook, isn't it?
Yeah, it comes down to that. Fortunately, I split that time with our developer. He's got a pretty good knack on some of that stuff, and so we let him kind of run with it. Especially the development end, we take a look at it and go, okay, let's do this or change that. Yes, it looks good, and move forward. Or hey, let's go this direction. But yeah, it does end up eating. Especially when we were just talking about it earlier today in a meeting I was having with him about what's coming up and how many. I'm looking at my calendar up over on the wall here, and we have. We have two different contests that are coming down Thursday and another one going up, and it's just this constant flux of like, okay, let's not overlap our social contests. Let's put this up then, and it's a matter of timing and keeping everything there. And then we started talking about the timeline, and do we want to, like, we haven't flipped our fan page over to a timeline yet, to Facebook's new timeline, and we've been holding off till one contest ends.
Right.
So we're going to hold off until that contest ends, and then we'll flip it before the next contest begins. And we want to fill that timeline with information going back a few years, at least to 74. And so there's all this stuff that all these little bits and pieces that have to be put together before we can actually flip it to something that we want to present to the public.
Right. Yeah. Not just a broken version of what you were hoping to do because you were forced into it, right? The nice part is that they're not going to force you to do it until the 30th, I think it is, of March. So there is a few weeks there.
If we can't flip it by if we can't fill it up with content by the 15th, then I think we're going to wait a few days.
Take that grace period then. So I'm looking at the Facebook page here again too, and I want to talk about a couple other things, but I just want to ask one more question about this, Sean. So with regards to Facebook in particular and integration of sponsors and keeping it non the challenge of keeping the sponsorship integration from just simply being a banner or being overly spammy or overly salesy, that type of thing. How do you guys work internally between your departments as well as other departments that might be selling this stuff too, like the sponsorship guys or the marketing guys? Maybe just give us a sense of what that whole, departmental relationship looks like when it comes to stuff on Facebook and other platforms, I guess, too. I'm just looking at Facebook here right now.
Yeah, no, we actually talk quite a bit with our corporate sponsor, corporate partnership department about what plans they want for social. It seems everybody's coming to them right now saying, "Hey, I want to be on your social media, whatever, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or Google or whatever you're doing. Look, I want to be a part of it."
You mean the sponsors? The sponsors are coming to them saying that they want to be a part of it?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, they want to. Yeah, they want to be tied to the team, and they want, as part of that tie-in, they want access to our social media. So, we just we're running a contest right now with Amtrak that's on our site, but we pushed it via social media. We have an agreement with ESRB, the guys who rate video games, and we push some stuff for them via social media. Right now, we have a contest running for free windows. So if you go in and you dress your window with Cap stuff, you'll get free windows from this company, Windows Nation, and it's so there's these relationships that we build, and they're okay. What, like, for example, the Window Nation, they were really interested in getting involved with our social media, and they didn't know how to approach it or how to do it. And so, we sat down with corporate sponsor or corporate partnership and said, okay, look, let's find a way of contesting, but not just a sweepstakes. Let's make it a little bit more, so it gives viable leads and that these are people that actually want the product.
Yeah.
So, that's one of the things that, we look at for that. We had so many people asking for end of the season, first round of the playoffs, knock on wood, that, we set up a meeting to kind of go over the contesting and how we would do different contests running now until the end of the regular season. So there's a little bit of, like, hey, who's up, who's on board for this, or who's on deck for that, and what can we do to make them happy, or how much is too much. A lot of times they'll look at us and they'll say, okay, how much really, is tweeting this out like 3 or 4 times a day too much? Yeah. Is tweeting this out 3 or 4 times a week too much? Depends on what it is. Maybe not. So there's always that kind of conversation going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's interesting that you say that these sponsors are coming to you guys too, looking for ways to integrate and tap into that audience that you guys have built on some of the social channels too. I know when we first met, a lot of times the biggest challenge was that social media was kind of a throw-in, right? It was, oh, and by the way, we'll tweet about this for you, or we'll post something on our Facebook page that'll drive people to this custom landing page microsite and get people to come in store. And now it's kind of shifted where people aren't even so concerned about the website stuff. They just want the engagement, right? Or at least the ones that are very proactive and understand the value of it are starting to see that, there's a lot of value in the social side of things.
Yeah, we've had a couple of partners that have, they've, from the get-go, they've been really smart about social media. The demographics might not always fit, but they've been smart about social media and wanting us to be a part of their plan on their social as well as our social. nowadays, I mean, it has to be part of your media plan, part of your marketing plan. It's not it can't be that throw-in anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's too valuable. And when you have everybody coming to you, you kind of look at it and you go, okay, see, this is valuable. It's
Mm-hmm.
not, we shouldn't just be throwing it in when that does happen. So I think more and more people are becoming aware of its value. I would hope so. I think people here inside the organization are becoming more aware of its value, especially the power that it can have to reach a fan.
Yeah.
And, to use an example outside the industry, we were all talking about this the other day, is the Coney 2012 thing or 2012 that
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen this video. I mean, well, 43 million people have seen it. Um, that's the power of social media. I mean, you think back a few years ago during the tsunami, and we found out about the tsunami via social media.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Japan's earthquake, same thing. We found out via social media. I mean, you're finding out news now. I mean, the guy was live tweeting Osama bin Laden's assault. I mean, that's pretty incredible. That you have this news that is instantaneous and there, and uh, it, it's just it's so valuable now, and such a part of our lives, and such a part of media and news that we can't just let it be. Oh, hey, we'll do that. We'll tweet that for you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it is one of the most powerful ways, I think, of reaching our fans.
No doubt. Yeah, no, there's no disputing that for sure. I guess one of the opportunities going forward will be to show the measurable results of that too, right? The analytical side of it, because I know a lot of sponsors still speak in that language, even though they're looking at like the Coney video and all of these obvious things that are just proving that this is not a fad. This is a reality of the way that people communicate now. It can't be ignored. They still don't really understand how to value it, right? It's from a like dollars and cents perspective, in the way that they might a rink board or being in the program or being up on the video board, right? They can understand that there's 18,000 people in the seats, and those 18,000 may or may not see it, but there's a likelihood that they might because there's music playing in the background, and just a different way of thinking, right? How can you package up the social stuff too so that they can not only see that here's our big audience, but here's what they're doing too. They're talking, they're engaging, they're taking action, they're signing up for something, which ultimately means that they might become a customer of that brand. Anyways, I'm just kind of rambling about the opportunities that I see in
Yeah.
that space. But
But we've actually started doing some of that analytics. On the analytics end, we're starting to monitor. Well, not start. We've been monitoring for a while. Like, obviously your likes and follows, but also engagements, and also which hashtags are gaining acceptance, and how deep they are, and it's amazing some of the tools that are out there, and how they all mesh together, and how much information you can actually get on a fan based on social media. And it you have to know, like you said, who's saying what, where, and how, and where are they, and it's just you have to be able to measure that, and you have to be able to show your partners how much it's worth. And yeah, it's 18,000 people might be in the arena on a game by game basis seeing a video, but you know what, 18,000 people saw that tweet this morning.
mm-hmm.
And uh, even if, like, just say like maybe 100 people retweeted, that's
Right,
that's now more,
with the
they,
expanding reach of
they
their audience, and yeah,
yeah, it's amazing how quickly that two friends told two friends told two friends sort of thing like explodes on the social front.
mm-hmm. No doubt.